Today we are going to install the oil cooler. It's one of the two things left on the Eclipse project to get it started. As you know, we don't want the car to get the temperature too high, but this is the water temperature. The oil temperature we never care, because if you drive a street legal car, or a car that you don't beat up too much, or a car that's not turbo, and beat up I mean you don't go drifting, you don't go autocrossing, you don't do any kind of trekking with it, or even on the street. And you know, if you use it a lot, 0 to 60 so many times a day, you wouldn't care. So what happens is there are lots of little parts inside the engine, like the bearings, the connecting rods, which have the bearings in it, and it needs oil in between. So when the oil gets too hot, it's not good, because the oil is not gonna perform what it needs to perform. It won't lubricate those parts properly. So on those cars, a way to accomplish this is having a oil cooler. So you probably know the oil filter, and what we are going to do is we put a adapter on the oil filter. Between the car adapter and the filter is going to be something else, and on that something else you're going to have those hoses here. I was going to call it cable, and those hoses go from there to the cooler. One is the input, so it gets out of there, gets in the cooler receives cold air, helps to cool that down, and goes back to the car. So which means that every time the oil, let's say it is 200 degrees, goes in here, and 150 degrees gets out of there. I don't know exact numbers, I'm just made them up, but that's how it works. Another thing is, which is very important to know, you don't want the oil to get too cold. So remember, every morning when you start the car, you let the car heat up a little bit before you accelerate too much and all that stuff. So the oil can get into a proper temperature, which is going to allow the oil to lubricate all the parts very well. So what we have for that is a thermostat. So this here is the adapter, right? Forget about this part here. This is the adapter, and you have the pipes in here, right? The fittings in here. So one is the input, the other one is the output. More than that, we have two extra connections in here, which we can put the oil pressure. So this is going to my gauge, oil pressure gauge, which goes inside the car. So it's great because I don't need to put behind the engine, I can leave right here. And another thing which is good is this has a thermostat in here. Can you see this little thing? So when the oil is cold, this is shut. When the oil heats up, this opens. So it works like this. Oil gets in, and 150 degrees, this is shut. 160 degrees, this is going to open. Cool off the oil reaches 140, this is going to shut again, right? You don't want the oil to be too cold. So this is why we use the this guy here. So the next challenge will be, let's install in the car, right? Which is right there. As you saw the other videos, this is not fitted yet. I just put in here so I could kind of see where I'm gonna put the oil, the oil cooler, and there are a few places, right? This is my intercooler, so my turbo is receiving air from this. This is my oil cooler, so I can put somewhere around here, right? Which I'm not crazy about that idea. And if you get the pipes, you see that one is smaller than the other one, it doesn't matter. is just because one is here, the other one is closer, the other one is further. So, and if I put this guy in here, you're gonna see that it's gonna be like this, but I'll have this hot stuff right in front of my intercooler. So I'll try to avoid this. You see the car has, this is supposed to have a fog light, and this is just a air vent, right? If it stays here, I'll have no protection against anything. So if I get a rock or something, this is going to hit my oil cooler and it's going to make everything leak. The other idea is to come in here. Look how much space I have there, and make a support and put right in here. This is going to get fresh air, and you know, I can even make something to direct the air from here straight to my thing in here. So sorry for the shake. I'm using one hand to hold the camera, another one to hold this. For this next step, we are going to lift the car, take the filter out of there, plug this guy in there, and put back the filter. The only catch is, as you know, my oil pan is here because this tap is new. The one I have in there is the one that I screwed over, so I'll need to remove that one and put this one in. I'm not gonna put that on the video, but yeah, that's pretty simple. So let's do that. All right, I was able to put some light in here. You want to drain your oil before you do that. As you see, my oil is all drained because I took the oil pan out of there. But then you remove the filter, which should be sort of hand tight. Oh, sorry. Let's see if I have a better. Man, which hands I use to tighten this? We have two fittings, so you can choose what fits in your car. One is metric, so this one you see that it's a little loose, and the other one is SAE. So you gotta figure out what's best for you and just use it. You should not have any leaks if this is sitting properly, because you have this gasket right in here, here, and you have another gasket on your filter. By the way, using this here, my filter got smaller, and what I'm using is this Wix 51348. I'm gonna put the link in the description. So as you see, it's very well looped up, and here I'll choose which side this is going to have the connections. Even though, I mean, I'm very tempted to put on this side, but this side we have the problem because we have all this stuff in here, the belts and everything. I don't want to mess with that, so I might go this way here, and I have some room under the transmission to pass the pipes and all that stuff. Yeah, either way, I just don't want those pipes to be floating around, and even though I mean, we will figure something out, but this is something that you need to think when you are installing that. I've never done this, so you see that this is super easy. There you go. You can even tip that way a little bit. I mean, it doesn't need to be like straight like this. The exhaust goes in here, so I don't want this to touch the exhaust either, so it might need to be like that. So this uses a 26 millimeter. I do not have a 26, so I'm trying to use the 27. There you go. and tight, and a little more. So good to go. And now we can put the filter. I guess before doing that, just to make it clear so we can see, I'm gonna put those two pipes in here, those two pipes. One thing I will suggest is to use Teflon tape. See, I use in here and in here on those two ones that are going to receive the oil, the input and the output. So some people use those white ones, which is made for pipe and water. I'm not quite sure, but I mean, a lot of people use that. Apparently it works. I would suggest using something that is resistant to heat, oil, gasoline and all that stuff, and which is this one. I'm gonna put a link on the description also, but you know, if you don't want to see the one I'm suggesting, just get the ones for fireplace. They might work properly, and I could have done that before torquing this guy in here. I don't want to take it out anymore. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna get the oil filter. It has a little bit of oil on top still. I can get some from the engine, which is dripping oil, and just put some in there, and again just hand tight. So if you have a 420A and you're following me, Danielle was calling me the other day and saying, hey dude, when are you making the next video? So he is gonna build his 420A too. So man, if you're making that, remember to get this new oil filter. It's for the turbo, Eclipse turbo if I'm not wrong. Again, it's the Wix 51348. Otherwise it's too large and it doesn't fit on this thing here. So here I have everything I need. I have my oil pressure, the thermostat in here, my oil pressure sensor, which is here, which is going to send data to my gauges inside the car, and that's it. I'm going to put the pan. That's a new pan. I unfortunately, if you saw my other videos, you saw the mess I made. I'm almost done here, but I have just one observation to make. If you are installing the oil pan and you're trying to get this bolt down here, you can put it with your hands and tight enough so you don't need to use the tool like in an awkward position for very long. And then you need a tool like this long, because if it's shorter it's not gonna work, if it's longer it's not gonna work. It's super weird. So you put it in there and it should do the job. Slowly. Yeah, look at that. And the other side has another one too, which is a little easier, but it's still hard. Now we have those guys in here. It turns out I didn't need the oil thing. What we're going to do now is, so I decided to put it in here instead of there because many reasons, but there is no ventilation behind where I wanted to put. So if you look right down there, here is a large piece of metal right here, so there is no fan coming out of there, and there is the intercooler, which I also was going to make it hot. So I got a big piece of aluminum because it's easier to work with. This is not going to melt. Is it strong enough? I got thick, I think it's 1/8 of an inch. So my plan is poke a couple holes in here somewhere. I almost lost it. Put this, vent this here, put a screw in here, and the hole is not a normal hole. I'm gonna make a hole with the screw inside with my clamp thingy. You're gonna see it. And yeah, and the neighbor wanna do his lawn right now. This is what I did. I end up cutting a piece like this, which I'm gonna show you in a minute, and that long piece turned into this here that I twisted like this and that. So I folded, and this goes in a place that I'm gonna show you in a minute. So in here on the outside hole, I'm just gonna put in here so we can test fit, you know. That. So I'm not gonna tie it, so it's gonna be loose like this. And on the top, so this goes like this. On the top, this goes like that. And should be pretty steady. So this is going to mount on the top, and this is going to support on the bottom. So it's going to be perfect. So let's see how it goes. Okay, I don't know if you can tell, this is the right side of the car, the driver's side. There's this little plate in here, which I'm going to use, and this other part up here. So this little plate goes up here all the way, and I'm gonna poke a hole in here, use my tool to make a thread in there and put in there. And in here I'm going to set this like that. I don't know if you can tell. So this here goes in there, and the other part, can you tell, up here I'm gonna poke a hole. I'm running out of hands, but if you see the plate I just made on the top and the car, so I'm gonna drill in the car, put my thing in there, probably a aim-8 bolt, and that's it. I think this is going to work perfectly. So this in here, I'm gonna mark in here where it goes, and this in here, I'm gonna mark in here where it goes. I'm gonna make a hole in here and another one somewhere down here. I'm gonna cut all this part out. Alright, so new mods, hole, and hole. Alright, so now is when the magic happens. I put this guy here and tied one bolt, just one bolt here. There's the other hole on the back side, which is right here. I don't know if you can see, but I didn't poke a hole in here yet, so we're gonna do that later. And this goes up here, and now we get into the top part of the car. So now I'm gonna mark that area with a tire marker. We are going to move this guy away, and I'm going to drill a hole in there and make that hole a M8 125 using this here. I have this tool here. I don't know if you've seen this before, but it has this little cap in here, and this cap has a screw inside, and this is an M8. So if you see down here, we have M6, M3, M4, M5, and probably M10. So we're gonna use that. First I'm gonna use the drill a hole big enough, which I believe is this guy here, and after that we're gonna tap and use this. So let me drill the hole and then we will come back. So check out how cool this is. There's a hole, and you just test fit, put that thing in there, and it works, right? But it's loose. So what we're gonna do is we set this thing in this tool, which you do like that. So there's a sort of a M8 side and the tool side. The tool side, when you open it closes, and you close it open, and that stuff. So now when I squeeze it, this is going to expand this part and make it stay in there. So let's try. Put it in there, and I need to tighten a little more. You see, there you go, there you go, and squeeze. All right, squeezed. And now you squeeze a little bit, take it out of there. Yep, and see what happens. We have a perfect hole where we can put a bolt that I put somewhere in here. I found it, and this bolt is going to, look at that, screw and tight as we want. So let's go back in there. I guess, oh, I thought the hole would need to be expanded a little, but it will not be necessary. I don't think this is a M. Oh yeah, it is a 13. There you go. Look at that. Oh, there we go. Beautifully tight. And everything's tight. Look at that. So this is tight in the metal of the car. This is tight in here. This goes nowhere. This is aluminum. This will definitely not touch anything. This here goes on this side, so there's no wiring touching that. This is perfect now. And the only thing missing is plugging this, guys. Alright, and just to finish this video, the pipes. So pipes got in there. I moved the horn a little bit. And I got those. So I bought 2 more of those. They didn't get here yet. Those are just cable, I don't know how this is called. So I'm gonna put 1 more here, which is going to set everything straight. But so far, this is how it looks. Not bad, huh? So that's it. It's late already. I guess, well, there's one more thing, but this was very important, was hitting on my office forever, and then I had this box here in the garage, and now finally we installed this in there, and the we can see from here the oil sandwich with the thermostat. I guess couple things missing now. Well, it was a couple things, now there's a couple things again. I don't know if you remember, this is the oil return, and I got a problem because I'm using the I still have the air conditioner, and it's like this tiny heating the air conditioner, so I'm getting a 90 degrees fitting so I can change this guy and call it good and do the AEM. So I guess tomorrow I'm going to start do the AEM part, which I've been procrastinating. I've been saying that all the time. I'm sick because I want to be sure that I'm tapping the correct wires, I'm tapping it correctly, I understand the schema properly and all that stuff. So yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this was informative for you. I know there are a few people building a 420A and are relying on my videos. I really appreciate it, and I'm glad to help. I'm glad that I can help some people. I wanna thank Daniel. I met him on forum on Facebook about 420As, and he's kind of friend. We haven't met, we haven't hung out, but you know, he's a very nice guy. He called me and we talked for hours about stuff and cars and you know, this kind of shit, and super cool. And he calls me and say, dude, did you start already? And I'm, no man. So I owe this to him, man. I gotta do this. Danielle, I'm gonna do that next. And that's it, guys. Hit the like button, make a little comment, and don't forget to subscribe, alright? And you know the drill. I'll see you on the next video.